Welcome back to the Intentional Carnivore. I'm Sean, and I'd like to welcome you here if this is your first time viewing my channel. I'm glad you're here. This video, I just want to go into what the carnivore diet is and just tell you a little bit about what it is that I do and some tips and tricks of things that you can do to see the benefit of the carnivore diet in your life. I'm often asked by family and friends and go into detail about what it is that I've done to see 234 pounds lost in 1 year, to see the type 2 diabetes reversed, to see the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease reversed, to be able to come off the medication. It's called the proper human diet for a reason. And I just wanted to be able to put in one place some ideas to put forward to let you know what that is. If this is your first time here, if you would, just subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything, and it would definitely help us out. But let's get into the carnivore diet. So I'm sure you've heard about it already. That's probably what brought you here. The effects of the weight loss, even in my own case, 234 pounds in a year is a lot of weight. It's not a new concept. It's actually something that our ancestors would have followed. But I have had many people recently ask me what it is about, what can I do, and for me to please explain. So the first thing that I want to just relay to you guys is something that I share often with people who are just starting out. And that is just to set your goals, to make a plan. Weight loss is a great thing to try to accomplish. It's absolutely a lot of the main reason why a lot of people get into this. But oftentimes weight loss isn't enough. Write it down, come up with your plan. Weight loss can be part of it, absolutely. What health issue is it that you're trying to fix? What goal is it that you have in mind? Being around for your children, your grandchildren, your spouse, having a quality of life, not ending up in a position later on in life or sometime in the future to where you're dependent on other people, maybe even to take care of you or care for you in basic needs and things. So these are just ideas that you can use to write down to formulate your plan. And I think it's critical for us to not dwell on the times that we've tried other things in the past, but come up with a plan, write it down, about where you want to be and what your goal is, and have it a tangible idea that you can refer back to at any point to just remind you, this is what I want, this is my goal, and this is what I'm fighting for. This is what I am changing for. And then also encapsulate in that a time period. I mean, we really need a time period, and I suggest at least 60 to 90 days. As I've watched other people, such as Dr. Barry, he suggests at least 30 to 90 days as well. And you may stay on it longer. You may be like me, and once you feel the effects of how this diet works on your body, you may never want to change because you feel so good. But it's good to have a plan and have a dedicated commitment to a certain time period. So that's the number one idea. Number two, I would say, is oftentimes the biggest question that I'm asked is, so how much do I eat every day? And the general consensus on this is just to eat until you're comfortably stuffed. Now, I know that there's many arguments and many people have different ideas about how much they need, this or that or the other. But essentially, during that first month to 2 month time period, it is critical for us, once we come to eating carnivore, to just eat until we're full. To eat, don't try to portion control. Don't try to limit what you're taking in. Eat until you feel comfortably stuffed, and then stop eating. You can adjust that down the road. You can adjust that amount to this or that once you get adjusted to eating this way. But at first, it's pretty critical that we just get adjusted to eating this way. It's definitely a change in our diets from what most of us are used to. Not just how much do I eat, but what do I eat. And the suggestion is fatty meats. The fatter the better. You know, the fattier cuts, whether that's seafood or whether that's land animals. There's no required portion, just that most people see the best benefit with a higher fat. So, like a ribeye, that's what I eat almost every day now. I get it from the butcher shop here locally, right around where I live at, and I don't let him trim the fat off. I want all the fat. And so it's usually at minimum a 1-to-1 ratio or a 2-to-1 ratio fat to protein. Start off with, that heavier fat's usually the best. The tendency oftentimes when you come to eating just meat is to undereat. But oftentimes we're worried about overeating. And that's based a lot on a lot of the old things that we used to try and all the other ways of eating that we've tried before. So the main thing that I would like to express to you during this point is just that try your best not to stress. Don't make something that's very simple overcomplicated. This way of eating, I found personally in my life, is the easiest way of eating that I have ever experienced in my life, which is one of the great benefits of it. I have, through my journey over the last little while, had to tune out some voices that I was listening to because they take a hard, an easy concept and make it harder than it has to be. It doesn't have to be that hard. Yes, you may have to adjust things just as I have, or you may be fine with whatever you start out with, continuing that on. But we can cross a lot of those bridges when we get there. The main objective now is just to understand, eat meat, and that will lead you to carnivore here. Try to keep your fat intake up. You can add butter and ghee if need be to get your fat content up. Those are great viable options. Another point that oftentimes is overlooked is, because we get the idea that we need to bring about a change into our, into our existence, into our being, I guess you'd say, is we want to go cold turkey. And while I'm not advocating that you shouldn't, because I did that, April the 17th, 2022 was the day that I had enough and I changed my eating that day. It was overnight. I didn't wait. I didn't plan it out or anything like that. It is okay, though, if you transition slowly, if you move into eating carnivore at a slower pace than just cold turkey overnight. There's not a wrong way to do it, but a lot of times you'll see that if you transition immediately, you may have the withdrawals from carbohydrates and sugars. If you're really heavy on those things, the effects of that might be a little worse or easier. But it's okay to transition slowly. You don't have to just start tomorrow eating meat and that's it. If that's what you can do and that's sustainable for you, then by all means, you're more than welcome to try that, and that's okay. But for a lot of people, the addictions and the other things that we deal with are oftentimes knock us off track. And the main thing that I want to get across in that point is that you need it to be sustainable. If you're transitioning to eating carnivore and just eating all meat in your diet every day, you may have something in there such as artificial sweetener or diet sodas, which the goal would be to get off of those things. However, if those are the one things that are still in your diet as you're moving over to eating carnivore diet to give it a try, you can transition slowly. I would much rather see you on a carnivore diet and have one or two of those things still in your diet and be able to maintain eating this way overall than to see you continue eating all the processed foods and the carbohydrate heavy things and the sugar-filled substances that's going to really continue to degenerate your body and cause a lot of issues. Transitioning slowly also gives your stomach and your gallbladder and your body function the ability to adjust to eating this way all the time. We get our bodies so accustomed to eating the processed foods and the sugar heavy foods that it doesn't have to work as hard to burn those foods up as it does whenever we start introducing meat and protein and fat heavy diet into our lives. So it will take a little bit of time of adjusting. When eating carnivore and cutting the sugar and carbohydrates out, don't forget those hidden things though. Oftentimes I'll hear people say, well, I've been doing this diet for X amount of time and I'm not seeing any results from it, or I'm not seeing any changes. There's a few things that we can look for. Actually, there's many things that could be hindering the progress, but a few things that oftentimes we don't look at are the sauces. Sugar in ketchup, sugar in certain sauces is way more than a lot of us realize, and we don't think to look for it in those issues, in those substances. But sauces, artificial sweeteners, seed oils, seasonings and mixes, and the big one is dairy. Now, I'm not saying you can't have any dairy. There's plenty of people out there that do a wonderful carnivore diet, and they do include some dairy. But typically we try to stick to, especially at first, just butter and ghee. And that's because it's on the fat end of the dairy spectrum. And those things are going to add the fat and help get our fat intake up. Whereas when you still take the milk and you still take the cheese and you still take the heavy whipping cream and those kind of things, it has a lot of lactose in it, which is essentially a sugar. And that could be hindering you. Not everybody, as I said again, some people can incorporate those things and be fine, but a lot of people can't. And they'll see being hindered from the benefits and the results and the goals that they're trying to get to. And it's kind of, misconstrued that, because it comes from an animal, it's all okay for everybody. And while that it does come from an animal, and, it's better than a lot of things that we could eat or put into our bodies, sometimes it does hinder us in ways that we just don't realize. So that's one thing to work on. As I said, I would much rather see you drinking milk than drinking a soda or other things that could be hindering us. But those things can come back to haunt us if we're not careful. Do whatever it is that you can do to set yourself up for success. This is what I try to share. You use the bacon grease, use the tallow, use duck fat if you like, but set yourself up for success, and that's the main thing. Make it as inconvenient as possible for you to eat off plan. If you live by yourself or you are the one who does the majority of the shopping in your house, you may be able to eliminate all the foods out of the house that are not on plan, and just have things in your house that is on plan, so that if you want something that's not on the plan, it's inconvenient because you have to go out and get it. That's one way of doing it. Incorporating family members or spouses or children or whoever it is that you can get that love you and care about you and want to see your best health and your best quality of life come to be. Enlist those people to help you. It doesn't have to be a nagging thing. It can be a support thing, obviously. I don't need you to jump on me when I eat off plan, but could you please just offer a moment of consideration whenever you're eating something that's not on my plan, not to do it in front of me, or, if you see me going for something that's not on plan, could you just be like, hey, that's not on your plan. You sure you want to do that? Or whatever the case is. I know for me in my life, that's something that my wife helped me with at first. I was in such a dark place whenever I started eating this way that I grabbed a hold of it and really was dedicated to it, especially at first. But she also didn't eat in front of me. She didn't have the cookies sitting on the counter whenever I walked through the kitchen that would tempt me, or, my favorite food at that time that may have distracted me from the decisions that I was trying to bring about. So these are just steps that you can use to make things inconvenient and set yourself up for success later on. Support is crucial. Get yourself into a support group. I'm part, as you guys know, of the Carnivore Quest community on Facebook. It's a great community, a great basic family, man. There's some really great people, a lot of people in that group that know exactly what they're doing and have great success on the diet. Being involved in community can help you to strive forward for your goals a lot more than you would think with the support, because a lot of people don't have people in their life that can support them and or really want to see them successful with this kind of a change in their life. So find a community, and you don't have to come in there and get involved and start doing all kinds of things. Just come in there and observe and get involved as you would see fit. You're more than welcome to come be with us. Another point is electrolytes. Now, I use Keto Chow Daily Minerals. I learned that from Dr. Ken Berry, who suggested and helped formulate the Keto Chow Daily Minerals and Electrolyte Drops. There are many other brands. There's Element, L-E-M-N-T, that you can use for electrolytes. These electrolytes will help offset some of the keto flu symptoms or some of the withdrawal symptoms that you might would face. They help deter the cramps that you might would face. And overall, they're just essential nutrients that our body needs to function properly. And so they will aid and they will help more than we realize. You may need to get some of those. The next point would be eat local. If you have a butcher shop, and get to know your butcher. If you shop at the grocery store, which would probably entail most of us, try to find out about what's in the food that you're buying and the meat. Where does it come from, and those kinds of things. Not suggesting that you have to buy the A5 Wagyu, grass-finished, grass-fed, top of the line, or like Ken Berry says, the panda massaged meat, the specialty meat. Eat what you can afford. Like I said a while ago, the main idea is that this way of eating and this change becomes sustainable. And you'll know once you set out on your journey and embark on trying it out, you'll see what I'm talking about as far as making it sustainable, because once you set off, it doesn't take very long for you to see the benefits or see some things in your life start to change. And oftentimes, I know with me, it was when I saw that change and I felt that feeling, it was so good that I never wanted to go back. And I'm sure you'll see the same. Stick to the plan. You might be wondering to yourself, well, how in the world can I afford to eat meat every single day? Honestly, I eat ribeyes every single day. Now, for about the last 7 to 8 months, I will just go to the butcher shop and buy a rib roast and have it chopped up into about 15 steaks, and that's 15 days worth of a meal for me. I do eat eggs, which I will cut into a video here just to show you kind of what that looks like for me. But when you combine the eggs, the butter, the salt, and the beef, and that's what I eat every day, I can eat typically in a whole day for less than I can eat at a fast food restaurant or a meal out at a sit-down dining restaurant. So you will learn quickly that there's so many benefits. Even saving money on your grocery shopping and grocery items can be one of those things. Don't let the fear of budget hinder you from making this change in your life and these steps for your health. Eat what you can afford. If that's, hot dog weenies and ground hamburger meat, eat that. If that's what you can afford. Don't let budget be the reason you're not taking the next steps towards a better health and a better you. That's a huge one. Don't fear the idea that that not eating sugar and carbs is somehow going to deprive you of a special nutrient that you need. I know that's a big one. And that was even my fear whenever I came to the carnivore way of eating. Well, aren't there nutrients and things in plants and fruits that we need? And there is not a nutrient in plants and fruits that we require to function as human beings. We can gather all the nutrients that we need from the animals that we can gather. Drink water, unsweet tea or coffee. I don't do any kind of teas. I do drink coffee, black, and I will drink water. I will have some of the sparkling waters, the different brands, Topo Chicos and Mineraguas and some of those things. Those are great things to include. Like I said, if you have to add a little bit of lemon to your water as you're transitioning over, by all means, try that. It's absolutely okay to take that step as you're moving and transitioning over. If you desire variety, search out the different cuts of meats that you may not know about, the different animal varieties that you've never tried. There's many different things that you can try that you may not realize or may not have ever thought about before coming to this way of eating that you can try. But a lot of people, like myself, find that one special thing, and usually it's a ruminant animal. Mine is ribeyes. I eat ribeyes every day. It's accessible, and it fits what I need. And oftentimes after you start eating carnivore, you're going to see that as well. You're going to find something that works better, or you just enjoy it more. It's easier, and you will gravitate to that. Your ruminant animals are venison, beef, sheep, goat. Those are some examples, and their ability to have good meat that is packed full of nutrients is better than most. So make sure to include those in your diet and try to figure out which one of those works best for you. The other thing that really is a big point that you often hear me talk about, especially because I know how important it is if you fall off the wagon, all you have to do is get back on. Don't keep making a mistake just because you made one, but don't be so caught up in the fact that you failed. You didn't fail. You messed up, and it happens to all of us. We all make dumb decisions every once in a while. Some of us, like myself, probably made a lot more than you, and I've been highly successful on changing my diet in a year. I have seen tremendous benefit, as I've talked about ad nauseum. But you can have that experience as well with the change in your life. You take it day by day, take it step by step. If you slip off the wagon, it's not the end of the world. Get up and get back on. Get back started. Don't let that drag out. Don't let that continue on, and you'll find that success as well. Messing up is part of the change. Don't you ever give up. Don't give in, and please do not get discouraged. Get back after it. That community and carnivore group, like I'm talking about, that's another key function of that. Is a lot of people can come into the group and get around that support, and they get encouragement. Some of that's what it is. We need it not just for tips and ideas and how do you do it, but whenever you slip and you feel like garbage and you just discouraged and don't want to continue on, having that community to come around you and support you is amazing and will help tremendously. I know it was for me. Larry Berquist at Carnivore Quest has absolutely helped me in tremendous ways. Just talking to me and encouraging me, and oftentimes I know we would call each other or text each other and just check up on each other, just see how are you doing. And I appreciate that. It made a difference in me. So basically, the concept is not that hard. I've described it in this video. I'll put some description in the description, exactly some links to what I eat and maybe some pictures in the video here. I hope this helped you. If it did, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps me out. And you can leave a comment in the video. I try to respond to each and every one of those just to let you know I appreciate you being here and supporting the idea. If you have any questions or concerns, you can place those down in the comments as well, and I'll be glad to answer what I can and keep pushing forward.